there's a missing void here. And I feel like even with this case, I'm reading it and I'm watching videos, and I'm like, there's something that we're not talking about here. For Qaadir and Naazir Lewis, from the twin community, from the twin family, our hearts go out to you guys.
Twin, that's my twin.
We just found out we were twins. Isn't that cool?
And I'm your twin brother.
We call this here a little twin.
Twin, tapping up a jet ski.
At the beginning of launching this podcast, my brother Tayari and I had heard the tragic news about Naazir and Qaadir Lewis. There were two identical twins that were found deceased in the state of Georgia. This was something, honestly, that really motivated us to kind of put into perspective how important this was for us to do. Not only for ourselves, but for other twins that maybe didn't have that outlet and didn't have someone that they can talk to that were twins. A lot of times we don't talk about the things that we feel, and sometimes they're very difficult to express. And when you're a twin, I think for most twins that understand this out there, when you're really, really, really close to someone, sometimes it can be extremely difficult, but this is very tragic. Within the twin community, this is something that hits very close to home. Their story reminded me of how deep and powerful the twin bond is, and it's important to me to honor their memory and acknowledge the complexities of what they might have gone through. We want to shed light on the unique challenges that twins face, especially during a time of separation or big life changes. But now, being in these twin groups and meeting so many twins within the past few weeks that we've started this podcast, and I just want to thank each and every one of you for sharing your stories, sharing your experiences. It's not always easy to navigate through those emotions, and we hope this brings awareness to the importance of mental health and support for everyone, especially twins going through tough times. And we just want to thank you all for being a part of this journey with us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the TYTWINZ Twinnin Ain't Easy podcast. I kind of got up early today. I've been thinking about this for about a month and a half, ever since the case first broke. Today, I want to talk about Qaadir and Naazir Lewis, the two twins that were found in Georgia. After the investigation that was done, they concluded it was a murder-suicide, but there's a lot of speculation behind the talk of a weapon may or may not have been found, and not really getting the hardcore details. There's a lot of things going on with this case where there were two twins that live in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and their bodies were found about 90 miles away from where they live. And the morning before they were found, they had a flight going to Boston that they missed. And I don't know. Listen, what we do here, I don't even want to think about the tragic and the series of events that may have led to that point. And I want to send my thoughts and prayers out to the family right now. I have an identical twin brother. Obviously, most of you guys all know that, but I cannot imagine the type of tragedy that the feeling of emptiness and that the family would be feeling. That's a big void. That's a big, huge void. There's a reminder that, hey, you might look like your brother, but he has a completely different personality. So there's a quote, or there's a saying that a lot of people use, and it's about talking with people and having these experiences with people. And it's like, I may not remember what was said, but I remember how it made me feel. And I feel like with twins, it's very similar to that feeling of, I don't remember all the little quirky things and the details of the things that we talked about. But even with two twins, like, one makes me feel this way, the other twin actually makes me feel this way, even though they're identical siblings, they were raised together or what have you. So I think that's very important to assess and kind of understand. If you know twins or you're familiar with twins, it's a big void to fill, because you're dealing with two different personalities and all of these feelings that you feel when you think about one and you think about the other. So my heart and my prayers go out to the Lewis family. I saw that they have twin aunts, Sabria and Samira, and my heart goes out to you guys and the family. It's an immense loss So I just wanted to, send my thoughts and prayers out to you guys and everybody in the twin family. I want to dig into some things that most people do not share about twins, and people I feel like they kind of breeze over. And there's times recently where my brother and I, even especially creating this podcast, where we've come into a certain type of conflict, and my parents will try to get involved, or we'll try to get my brothers involved. And it seems like we're so close that it's very difficult for someone to get in there and kind of get us to see eye to eye. And a lot of times people do not want to get involved because our parents, our brothers, friends, they're afraid. If I agree with one of you, then the other one might be mad about it and might disassociate or show resentment towards me. So it's a very fine line with our cousins, family, friends, and our parents when we're getting into a situation that we can't seem to navigate past, that we're mentally or emotionally mature enough to understand. As a twin, sometimes your parents can't help you. And sometimes, they might have a favorite. They might pick a side. There's a missing void here. And I feel like even with this case, I'm reading it and I'm watching videos, and I'm like, there's something that we're not talking about here. And when you grow up as a twin, you grow up same house, same parents, all that, all the way up, you're experiencing a lot of the same things together. But what happens right around the age, these two young men Qaadir and Naazir were 19 years old. They were a few weeks away from being 20 or turning 20. What happens around that age is very important if you're a twin and you understand. Now, if it doesn't happen in high school or even earlier than that, my mom and dad, shout out to my mom and dad, they knew right away. And I mentioned this in other videos too. They did not have me and my brother in the same class. They told the counselor, they told the principal, do not put Taid and Tayari in the same class because it's going to be a problem. Not just for them, but for whoever the teacher is. And we'll get into story. I'll tell you guys some stories down the line in later episodes about the havoc that we wreaked on some of our teachers, that they messed around and put us in the same class. But just to get back to what I was saying. So you'll have a relationship with someone, boyfriend, girlfriend, where this kind of draws a little bit of a line in the relationship with your twin. Because how close are you going to be with this new girlfriend or this new boyfriend? And how does that make your twin feel? Being an identical twin is like a foundational, building block for my marriage and my relationship. And most people, oh my God, how's that? I'll tell you how. I was born with my brother, share everything with my brother. Since birth, sometimes you got to learn when it's your time to shut up and listen. A lot of times I do the opposite. I talk. But you kind of learn this balance. You learn when to give, when to receive. You learn when to be supportive. You learn when sometimes you slip and fall and you need that support. And like I said in previous episodes, we lean on each other. But anyone who's been through a divorce, how long were you married? They say after 5 years, that's kind of when things kind of really get in the weeds, and you really kind of start figuring out, you kind of get catching your wind and all that after you hit 5 years. But what happens when you've been with someone for 19 years? What happens when you've been married with someone for 19 years, or born and experienced everything in life with someone for 19 years? Most of you can't even imagine being married for that length of time. Some of you can. I know there's many people that have been married far beyond, but as we all know, no marriage is perfect. No relationship is perfect. We all go through the ups and downs. So to carry that on into what I'm saying, there's something that happens with twins throughout high school and on to that age of 18, 19, because now you're sheltered. Your parents are taking care of you. Everything you have is within that same community, the same people, same friends. But then you turn 18. Now you got a job across town. Your brother gets another job across. So you guys don't get to spend as much time with each other as you used to. Your twin telepathy and that twin tuition, I'll call it twin tuition. You get it. Anyway, some of those things start getting like kind of fading out a little bit. Some of the words and the phrases you used to repeat and the thoughts you used to have and that synchronicity you used to have, you don't have it the way you previously did because you're not spending as much time. Now it still shows up, but that can create frustration in identity with the twin. It's like, hey man, what movie is this? And the other twin's busy. It's like, doesn't remember the movie or doesn't remember a certain inside joke because maybe they have other stuff on their mind that they're focusing on. And the other twin's like, man, how could you forget that? How could you not know that? I want to kind of tie that into being married, but also think about being married with someone for 19 years and then all of a sudden you feel adrift. That's what happens with twins, 18, 19, usually when you graduate high school. When you get to that age, there's going to be some separation. There's going to be some frustration, and there are going to be things that there are going to be emotions that if you're not, like I said, emotionally mature enough to understand, you may have feelings and things that kind of drum up at the last minute. Not to shed a negative light on their situation, but I want to talk about something that a lot of people aren't talking about, and that sometimes twins, with twins, it's not normal, but it can happen where they turn on each other, where they feel like, hey, look, if we can't be as close as we were, like, I'm not doing this. Or if you're hanging out with them over and picking them over me or this and that, like that can create a problem. And it's not something that the family is going to know. It's not something that the family is going to be aware of. Because when you're twins, like I said, me and my brother have argued, and my parents who've been with us our whole lives and know us very well, they cannot navigate through whatever conflict we're having to help us find a resolution. And like I mentioned in a previous video, there's always something new that we have to adapt to. We're growing. And that's what you have to understand as a twin in life. You're growing. Every day is different from the last. Another important thing I wanted to talk about is that with family, anytime there's an experience that we deal with, a tragic experience, no one's gonna be like, oh yeah, the neighbor next door could do something crazy. It was, oh, he was nice. He left gifts on everybody's welcome mat around Christmas and this and that. I didn't think he was in there killing people, So nobody's thinking, especially when it's a more direct, like a family, no one ever thinks that the individual that did the crime or did this horrific thing or whatever the case may be, did it. So it's normal for the family to feel like, hey, look, these twins, they've never argued. They never do this. I never could see them doing something because twins are so close. Twins are more in sync than that. And it takes a lot less and really something that most people probably would never even notice as a signal or an indication of communication. So for most twins, we're so tied into each other that turns into a thing where you wouldn't even be able to tell that we're communicating with each other. So people are getting upset. Now, a lot of people were like, oh, there was an arrest that was made. The arrest that was made in this case was a first responder that got to the scene, took a picture with his phone, and shared the images of these twins. Now, I'm sure once he was arrested, they checked his phone for other things. Now, he was not arrested for the murder of the twins. And a lot of people keep getting that twisted. He was arrested for sharing pictures of the crime scene. Okay, so a lot of people keep, oh, someone was arrested. No. No one's been arrested for the murder and or for these murders, rather. And I just feel like it's really sad how people try to troll and jump into the videos where they're talking about someone got arrested. And it's like, let's get to the root of the problem. Let's figure out what really happened if there was foul play. It's 2025. And let's be honest, like there's digital evidence. They can look into someone's phone and find out what happened in a matter of minutes. They don't have to have all the investigation and all the weapon and this and that and the. They can look at your phone. Okay, who looked it up? Did they navigate to this place? Okay, we got navigation. I'm not saying that's what happened because I don't know, but I'm telling you just from a twin perspective, the closeness of twins is so dynamic. It's almost hard to tell, what went on that day. But I can tell you this, twins sometimes can flip on each other because of their closeness, the familiarity that they have with each other. The problem is we're human, and these are all things that we have to deal with. The problem is that it's more along the lines of how are you navigating through that? How are you dealing with it? And are you the type of person that says, you know what, hey, I realized I got emotional, I was angry, I'm sorry for what I said, and, you know, grow like I talked about and show change. At least from my perspective of 40 years of being an identical twin now, I don't know what happened with these young men. Their family is experiencing a traumatic situation. So it's not something that you're just going to be like, oh yeah, well, I believe whatever you say, police investigators. People vanish and things happen, and the craziest things happen to people all the time. And there's a lot of people that, you know, like I said, I can't believe it happened. For Qaadir and Naazir Lewis, from the twin community, from the twin family, our hearts go out to you guys. Rest in peace. You know, we'll keep representing for the twins. And as far as I'm concerned, there are a lot of twins that deal with certain depressions and certain ups and downs as well. And that's one of the whole reasons why my brother and I decided to start this podcast. And even though, like in most episodes, if you see, my brother's busy, he has a young family, my kids are older, so I have a lot more time to put videos together and set up and do all these things. So for me, that's what twins do. I show up for my brother. I love my brother. I don't care if he's here, if he's busy or not. I'm gonna ride it out, and I'm gonna keep on cruising. And when he's ready, the door's always open, the seat's always here, or wherever we interview or wherever we get to do these episodes at. For those of you going through any traumatic situation, maybe like I said, you're dealing with separation with your twin, and you hit the age maybe where you guys graduated high school and things are getting rough and you're not able to spend all the time, and your relationship is being frayed or hindered because of it. Reach out. We'd love to talk to you guys. We'd love to get some insight on, you know, your situation or an experience that you've had, so we can use it to help other twins. So shout out to all the twins out there. Shout out to the Lewis family. And for anybody going through anything traumatic, there are people out here that are here for you, and you don't have to do it alone. And if you're a twin, you already had that benefit, but sometimes twins can feel alone too. You know, I know it sounds crazy, but it's life. You know, it's not perfect, but it's real. And I think the best thing about this is that life in twinship and all this stuff, it doesn't have to be perfect, because it's not. But what we're giving you is real, and this is real. So if you guys like the video, any of the other videos, subscribe, follow the channel. We got a lot of twin content. We got interviews coming up within the next couple of weeks. We got a lot of information. So we're here to help twins. Every time I come across twins and I share this with the parents, the grandparents, everybody goes crazy. So I want to thank you guys for the love, because we're actually talking about things that people are not talking about when it comes to twins and identity and comparison and just all of the dynamics that come along with being a twin. And I'm glad there's a place where we could share that. So for all the twins out there that are dealing with something, you don't have to do this alone. You have people out here and other twins that are here to help and here to be your support system. Like I said, until the next video, you guys take care, stay blessed. We'll catch you on the next one.